What's up, all you nerds and virgins? Welcome to the special episode of Bett Records. Let's go.
Here we go. That is one way to start it off. Me neither. That's kind of where I thought that was going, but
yeah, I don't know.
Welcome back to Bett Records. You guys know what's up. Welcome to our first ever actual video episode. We got your weekly host here with Josh and myself. We also got Justin on here as well, who we recently welcomed back on our last episode. If you guys want to check that one out, where we talked about his recent internship and his North Dakota living. And we also have another recently new member of the wonderful state of North Dakota with us here today. Another returning guest, the multi-name king himself, Cole Chestnut. Cole, I heard moving was just an amazing process for you and everything went smoothly. And the first couple nights have been awesome. How are you doing in North Dakota?
Yeah, it was good until yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, so at like 8:40, the power to the entire goddamn campus went out randomly. Just randomly.
The whole campus.
The whole fucking campus. Just everything just gone. So I went outside, met some random people, walked around campus for like 4 fucking hours. Because they just kept saying the power was going to come back on. The power was going to come back on. They just kept delaying the time. And the power didn't come back on until about 6 p.m. today.
Damn.
So all of my food, I had to go buy ice bags and just like dump ice all over my freezer and my fridge just to keep my food to stay.
That's almost like 24 hours, huh?
Yeah, it was almost 24 hours. It was just like, and it's hot as shit up here.
Well, I heard is your
no
AC?
No, nothing worked. Not a single thing at all worked.
What's that?
The entire apartment just dark.
What's that dripping noise then?
Oh, that's the AC now, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because you guys made me turn it off, so I don't know. That's I don't know. It's a janky AC, but at least it's AC.
It sounded worse when it was turned on. That's why. But your trip up there moving was pretty smooth too, Cole, or what was going on there?
I mean, kind of. Well, yeah, on the way here, no. So when Wyatt came to help me move stuff and everything, we had to go get my uncle's trailer. But when we got my uncle's trailer on Wyatt's car broke. Just broke. It wouldn't move anymore, so that was fun. And my dad came, picked me up, Wyatt up, drove us back to my mom's house. Then I had to drive all the way to Monticello to get a different truck of Wyatt's friends. So we had to drive to his house first to pick up his car to trade it for the truck. Then we got the truck, and then the truck didn't have a hitch, so we had to drive all the way back to Wyatt's house. Then we had to drive all the way to my uncle's house, and then finally back to my house. And we left at like 4:30, and we didn't get back to my house till like 11 p.m. So,
damn,
dude, that sucks.
Well, I'm glad everything went smooth for you, Cole. Like I said, so
yeah, it went so great. Yeah.
Well, shit, buddy. Well, shit. Let's hop right into this one. We're gonna be giving you guys some more targeted content here with these videos going forward with fantasy football. Some couple trips and tips and tricks here. We'll see what kind of happens. Trying some new stuff here. See how we do. You guys know we've had our draft a couple weekends ago already. So we're gonna start off the series with the position I would consider to kind of make or break your fantasy season, the running back position. We're going to kind of take a look at each tier. We're going to say kind of who we think you should draft at their current ADP and which ones you should definitely avoid taking too early with your draft spots. I think we can probably put that board up here and kind of change all that up here. So we got this first tier of McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook up here.
Where'd you get this list? The toilet store?
Dude, yeah.
Why the fuck you got Derrick Henry in tier 2?
And that's also
I picked Derrick Henry's the king.
I don't know if
the initial
king, but at least tier 1.
That's what I'm saying.
Derrick Henry should be at the top of the list.
Really? So Justin, you got.
Let's go, Justin.
I honestly think McCaffrey is not the number 1. I think he should be at the bottom of those 3.
Really?
I think it's either Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry this year.
I agree. Yep.
Absolutely.
All right.
And the only reason Alvin Kamara is in tier 1 is because nobody knows what's going to happen without Drew Brees this
Quarterback
season.
situation, yeah.
Because
That's
if you
fair.
think about it, he wasn't like a handoff running back. He was kind of like a check down running back who would do and make his points. Cole knows that best out of anybody.
Fuck you. Yeah, I know.
Something points in the first half.
Well, here's my real question then for you, Justin. Here, if you got the number 1 pick in your draft, no keeper league, everyone's on the board. Who are you taking number 1?
If I was the first overall pick,
Correct.
I would take Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
I
Okay.
mean, really, the Titans are going to be dangerous this year. I'm
Yes,
telling
I
you,
agree.
they are Super Bowl contenders this year. Like, they picked up Julio in the offseason. They already have everyone thinks he's overrated, but I think he's a very good quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. Like,
Yep.
he's always been reliable for them. And you had Derrick Henry. Nobody knew who Derrick Henry was until he tied the NFL record for longest touchdown run ever with 99 yards. No one ever thought that
Yep.
record was ever going to be tied.
Yep.
And with a guy like that, if you watch his running style, it's just so fluent. And it's the type of guy, and he's a big guy too. He can break tackles. He can truck people over.
Dude, he's massive.
He's an all-around, in my opinion, all-around best running back in the league.
Okay. Yeah, and I know the last
Yeah.
2 seasons he had the most rushing yards and touchdowns as well for any running back. The only disadvantage from Henry is the yards after the catch, like you were talking about with Kamara. They're gonna pound him kind of through the middle of that O-line there and try to get some yardage out of that. Cole, I know you have Derrick Henry on your team. Do you think that addition of Julio Jones is going to take away from some of Derrick Henry's playing, since they now have A.J. Brown and Julio at that offense?
I mean, not necessarily. Maybe a small amount, but at the same time, it's like, is Julio even going to stay healthy this whole year also? Because he's been hurt a lot within the last few years.
And he's getting old, too.
I think he'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a small amount, but overall, I still think Henry's going to be the lead, like, most touches out of everyone. So,
Sure.
And you know who I'm really surprised is in tier 2?
Yeah.
Saquon.
You think Saquon too, huh?
Yeah, because not that he's not a great running back, just like all the critics have been on him like crazy, like, oh, he's never going to come back from this. So it's just kind of like weird that they have him in tier 2 so high.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I picked this one too. This was the initial kind of stuff, about a month ago, kind of when we started to look at our drafts. This was that initial order from ESPN and stuff like that. So I definitely want to compare that to the preseason stuff we know now and kind of going forward as well. Josh, one, do you agree with Barkley as maybe the lowest one in that tier if we had to keep them all in the same tier? Is there someone maybe you would move up higher than others? Do you agree with the Taylor in front of Nick Chubb? What do you kind of think about this order here?
I think Barkley is kind of an interesting one. I think he's placed about right, because the year that before he got hurt, he was just an absolute beast.
Yep.
So if we get that same Saquon after the injury, I mean, it's possible. I don't know if it's going to happen. I personally would not take the risk on him. I would probably put him below Austin Eckler if it were me drafting.
yeah.
I don't really want any part of that. If anything, I'd probably bump up Aaron Jones, just because Green Bay is going to be doing things this year with Aaron Rodgers, kind of trying to put out this last big year in Green Bay.
Last dance.
Yeah, before he tries to use his free agency and try to get like a super max contract in some fucking shitty team like Minnesota or something.
So can someone remind me what was Barkley's injury?
ACL, I believe. Yeah.
Did he tear it?
Yeah.
It was like earlier in the season, I remember.
It was like one of the first games, and then he was out for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, as far as that goes, same thing with I don't know if I trust Zeke.
Me either.
Yeah,
I don't trust Zeke at all, honestly.
I think honestly, I bumped Jonathan Taylor over both those guys and put Chubb above those guys as well.
Yep.
I'd
go
put
ahead,
Austin Eckler a little bit higher than he is, though. I'd put Austin Eckler higher than he is. He's kind of like Kamara. And he also has a new rookie quarterback, Justin Herbert, from last year, who was just going off. And him and Eckler had really, really good chemistry. And now that they're both completely healthy and ready to start the season off, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Eckler will be one of the top, definitely in tier 2. I don't understand why he's in tier 3, honestly.
Sure. Yeah, and I think currently he still is in that tier 3. But yeah, Justin, go ahead.
See, Josh, I kind of disagree with you about Ezekiel Elliott because
I disagree as well. So go ahead.
Because when I think like when you're in the red zone, I think Ezekiel Elliott's the number 1 running back that I would want in that position. He's proven himself, and this is his 4th season. He's already proven himself to be really elite, and he can only get better from here. Like if you ask me, he's the only reason why the Cowboys' offense is still above average is because of Zeke. If they didn't have Zeke, there was nothing they could do.
Right.
But with Dak Prescott coming back and CeeDee Lamb coming off, you still got Amari Cooper in the mix. You got both those guys. With Dak Prescott coming back, he was, I don't think people remember, but he was a throwing machine when he was in Dallas. Like Zeke wasn't as big of a part of the team as he was last year after Dak got hurt. So I think people are going to realize that in the red zone, he might not get as many looks as he has in the last season. Whereas this upcoming season, CeeDee Lamb, I mean, that guy's going to be, as far as like wide receiver sleepers, CeeDee Lamb, I think, is a good sleeper.
See, that's where I disagree with you. I do agree with you on CeeDee Lamb. He's definitely a rising prospect. And if you ask me, he will be elite in the next couple of years. But like in the red zone, I still think that the Cowboys will be looking for Zeke because he's the type of guy who can run through people. He can maneuver. He's fast. He's strong. He's agile. And if we're in the red zone, if you're going to ask me one running back to take, I would take Zeke in the red zone.
Okay. So are you changing your mind from taking Derrick Henry number 1 overall to Zeke?
No.
Or,
No. I'm saying
Henry just punches through every single defense he goes up against.
I'm saying in the red zone, Zeke is the most dangerous.
Okay. Sure. Yeah,
I'm saying like for like deeper in the field, like if you're on your own 30-yard line, that's where I'd want Derrick Henry. Everyone's going to be expecting a pass, and then he'll go through. Yeah.
All the way to the touchdown, baby.
Yep.
So now, Justin, who would you rather have, Dalvin Cook or Christian McCaffrey?
Dalvin Cook.
Interesting. Why is that?
Because, wow. So in Dalvin Cook's
because
I remember watching Dalvin Cook's rookie year, and it unfortunately ended in week 2 because he tore his ACL. And in those first couple games, I'm like, wow, this guy's going to be a stud. And I thought right after the injury, I thought he wasn't going to be the same because usually when you get a start like that and then you get an injury, you never live up to the hype. And the year before, when he came back, he was decent. But last year, he blew the gates off. Like wasn't he second in the league with
Yeah, I think so. He's right behind Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was number 1. But
beast last year.
And when I think of the Vikings' most valuable player, it's Dalvin Cook. It is Dalvin Cook.
And that's definitely true for the Vikings offense, hands down. I mean, Justin Jefferson is probably a close second there. But
you can't take away Thielen, though.
And that's fair, too. And maybe we can get into some of that with our wide receiver episode when we do next here. But I just can't, and I kept McCaffrey this year. All the reports say he's, fully all good to go this season. Am I definitely concerned about the injury from last year carrying over, maybe re-injuring it, halfway through the year, of course. But I just think you almost have to take McCaffrey. I mean, the team, the way that they use him, there's no Mike Davis anymore. They're not going to split up with that guy. They got Chuba Hubbard, some rookie dude they got that Q-Tip drafted on our league for a different team on accident. Like, there's no one behind him, Yeah, poor Adam, and hey, if McCaffrey has the same kind of year he did, where he was injured, that wouldn't be a bad pick. But, I think if I was still number 1, I would still have to go McCaffrey on that one. But should we move down to tier 2 here?
Wait. Josh, you never said which one you'd choose out of those top 3 to start. McCaffrey, Cook, or Henry?
Well, I'd take Derrick Henry, but I put Dalvin Cook over McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I do it, too. Derrick Henry, Cook, McCaffrey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my list. I don't think McCaffrey I don't think he's going to be the same as he was. People don't realize that the quarterback situation in Carolina, it's very heavily deteriorated. It's kind of like the Saints offense now, whereas I mean, you got Jameis Winston, he's not going to move the ball. Hill, you don't know. I mean, you really don't know. Whereas, like on some of those other offenses, like Derrick Henry's, for example, in Tennessee, he's still got a decent quarterback. And Ryan Tannehill, Dalvin Cook, you got Kirk Cousins. He's a decent quarterback.
Cousins isn't playing. Remember, he got kicked because he wouldn't get the vaccine. He's out, right?
No, he's still playing.
No,
that was just a rumor, bro. Nah.
Yeah, we're just
that was a myth
okay.
busted. That was a myth
Fake
busted
news.
long time ago.
That's what you guys are saying.
FakeNews.com.
Nah, fake news. That was either Wyatt or Ricky or someone. I don't know who it was, but definitely fake news there. Let's go ahead and move to this third tier. What, Justin?
Somebody say fake news.
Fake news.
Fucking knew it.
Marty, fake newsman.
Marty. All right, let's move down this tier 2 here. Typically, this is going to be probably, kind of late second round, depending on when people pick wide receivers, their tight ends, and Patrick Mahomes, of course, usually goes within that first, second round in most at-home leagues for sure. Josh, what do you think about Joe Mixon this year and kind of the potential down there in Cincinnati?
I'm out on him.
Out for Joe Mixon, huh?
I'm out on Joe Mixon. He's the same as like a Saquon for me.
All right, Justin, what do you think? What do you think about Mixon? Any different?
I think Mixon's pretty solid. I don't expect him to decline because at the end of the day, he's, like I said with Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon's probably their MVP in Cincinnati too. He's probably going to get the most touches. Like, who do they have at quarterback? Joe Burrow.
Yeah. He's supposed to be all right this year again. We'll kind of see what happens with that in the wide receiver core. But
until he gets more
terrible injury.
I expect Joe Mixon to be getting a lot of the touches. I expect him to be carrying the team in the first couple weeks. And I think he's – bold prediction right here. I think Joe Mixon can actually be a candidate for MVP.
I don't know about that.
Hot take. There it is.
That's a bold prediction.
There it is.
What people don't realize is that Joe Burrow was throwing it up 50, 60 times a game last year.
Wasn't he throwing it the most out of every single quarterback?
Correct. Yeah, and now he's got his favorite target. His favorite target from LSU is who they drafted first round just to get him back with his buddy. I think it's going to get even worse. You got Boyd. You got what's the other guy's name?
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins, that's who I'm thinking of.
Yep.
Yeah, T. Higgins and his favorite target. I mean, Joe Burrow is going to be slinging that thing.
What's the deal with AJ Green?
Huh?
What's the deal with AJ Green? I haven't heard his name in a while.
He's not on the. He's not with the Bengals anymore.
He's with the Cardinals now.
On the Cardinals? Gross.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have to take that out. We'll have to take a look at that when we get to that wide receiver one too. Here, I think low-key he may be a sweet sleeper too. We'll save that hot take for a different episode. But Josh, I know you're super high on Naji Harris. Tell me your kind of reasons with that. Why you're taking a limb on that here?
I'm in on Naji Harris. They have a super relaxed schedule throughout the year, so that's one of the main reasons. Also, Big Ben, he's probably going into one of his last years here.
Yeah.
Be right back.
But the thing with Big Ben is he's one of the last good game managers, kind of like Tom Brady, where he just gives the ball to everybody just to get his team success. So he likes to hand it off a lot. We saw a lot of success with Le'Veon Bell when he wasn't having his hissy fit or whatever he was having.
He wasn't on menopause.
Yeah, when he wasn't doing that. We also saw success in James Conner.
Yep.
Last couple of years. Now with Naji Harris, I think he's more talented than James Conner was. A little bit bigger of a dude. I think he's going to have great success, especially if Ben Roethlisberger isn't able to throw it down the field like he has been in recent years, just because he's starting to get a little older. The arm strength probably isn't there. I see them resorting to the checkdowns a lot more. and just a lot more backfield use.
Yeah, no, definitely. Cole, what do you think about either doing Eckler or Aaron Jones this year? If you had to pick, those are the only two guys on the board there. What do you think about those two guys? I did want to mention too, those stars on the right side too, is how difficult their season or schedule is actually. So Josh, yeah, when you were saying Harris has an easy schedule, they got 5 stars, dude. So they definitely. Nope, no. They definitely got an easy schedule. No, you're definitely right.
I was like,
yeah. No. Sorry, yeah, kind of explained it backwards, but no, they got a super.
The stars is how
so,
easy the schedule is.
Yep. So Aaron Jones, according to the sports guys, is he's got a tough season coming ahead for the running back position, but that all changes with the defenses. We'll see how that goes with all this COVID stuff and the cuts and whatever. But Cole, Eckler versus Jones, where do you kind of sit with that?
Eckler, 110%. I drafted him because of how much upside he's had the last 2 years in general. Like, he started off pretty iffy, and then last year he just became a complete stud, and then he got hurt for a bit, which takes away from his upside a lot because we don't know if he'll get hurt again. But when he is on the field, he's a passing back mainly, but he's also the running back as well, like the rushing back.
Yep.
It's not like he's not doing the rushing back at all.
Yep.
Aaron Jones, like you said, tough schedule. Plus, I feel like Aaron Rodgers is just going to try to be the best he can be, just to like shove it in Green Bay's face when he leaves.
Yep.
So I don't know if he's really going to be throwing it that often. And if he is going to be throwing it, he's going to be throwing it to Devontae Adams. Plus, he just got Randall Cobb back as part of his deal to stay with them. And if he asked for Randall Cobb specifically, there's a very big reason for that. So I don't think Aaron Jones is going to be putting up anywhere near the numbers as Austin Eckler will be this year.
Yeah, it's just like the Brady and Gronk and Antonio Brown whole thing. I mean, if you're going to get these guys, and I mean, who did we see almost every play in the Super Bowl? It was Gronk and Antonio Brown. I mean, obviously, Aaron Rodgers definitely wants that receiving core for a reason. I believe Adams only has 1 year left on his contract as well, maybe 2, but I know it's all limited there. So I kind of agree with you there. Aaron Jones may be kind of put on the back burner, but I know they'll still use him, every 1 or 2 downs for sure in their kind of mix there. Justin, what are your kind of thoughts on Antonio Gibson versus Joe Mixon? The biggest thing about this position, is that upside. You can take a safe pick in Mixon, but with all the kind of training camp stuff behind Gibson right now, there's sounding like a lot of upside. What do you kind of think about both those offenses, and if you had to pick between those two guys?
So does Washington have set in stone who their quarterback's going to be week 1?
Fitzmagic, baby.
Really?
What happened with Alex?
Magic. Wow.
Alex who?
Alex Smith.
Is he retired?
Or
I was gonna say,
what's his name? What's his face that actually did good in the playoffs against Tampa in the first round?
I got nothing, but I'm 98% positive he's starting for sure. Fitzmagic is starting the season, if not finishing it again this year. The traveling quarterback in Washington.
Gross.
That is a pretty tough one, actually, because Washington really is a very underrated team. They really are.
I agree with you on that, especially their defense.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Go into that. Holy fuck.
When you look at the rest of the NFC East, who else is there? Like you could make an argument for the Cowboys. The Giants are just straight dog shit.
Yeah.
You can say all they want. The Eagles are way too inconsistent. So Antonio Gibson is definitely going to be their number 1 receiver, and they'll look for him. But I think I'd still have to go with Joe Mixon.
All right. Just to be more safe than sorry, and with that
more safe
offense.
than sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially these first 2 rounds. I mean, with your first pick, you almost want to pick some guy
in your first 2 picks.
Exactly, which is why, Josh, when you said you were out on Barkley before, that's exactly the same reason. I want a guy that is going to get 15 to 20 carries a game and has the less probability of ending the season shorter than I would want it to. So
Hey, Cole, I got a question for you.
Huh?
Why do you think CEH is all the way at 16 when he was a top 5 pick last year?
Yeah.
Because he didn't produce last year. He didn't really produce as much as he was hyped up to do, for one. Mm-hmm. 2, they have so many weapons, wide receiver core. I mean, just in general in Kansas City. Plus, they just don't – Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's not really – he's like kind of a passing back, but he's not a passing back. He's much more of a rushing back than he is a passing back, and they're more of a throw-oriented team. And, just overall, he couldn't put up what he was expected to put up last year. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He was just way overhyped last year. Unfortunately, everyone, we want a part of this Kansas City offense, and this running back's going to be amazing. Then he ended up splitting time, and they got a 3rd running back, and it just was kind of a mess after that. And that's why he just didn't perform. In this year, they got rid of, I can't remember was it Darrell Williams? No, I can't remember. It was someone as their backup that was splitting a lot of time. They got rid of that main guy there, so it kind of opens up some more opportunities, hopefully, for CEH this year. I think lower down here as maybe a 3rd or 4th rounder pick for CEH is looking a little bit better for his production. But Justin, would you pick CEH over someone like Chris Carson?
That's really tough to say because it's one thing from Mahomes is like he never hands it off to his running backs. He just wants to pass, which isn't a bad thing because he always succeeds when he passes. But I just don't see any Kansas City running back getting a lot of touches because Mahomes can do it all just passing. So what's the need of handing off?
And in fantasy, you're trying to not only get those rushing yards, you're trying to get that touchdown. I mean, every week, or if not, one every 2 weeks if you need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if they're throwing the ball,
touchdowns, he never hands it off inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah,
right.
Carson's got much more upside.
But even so, with Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson's the same thing as Patrick Mahomes. I.e. Super Bowl. The infamous throw when you have the best running back in the league. He's the same way. He's a throw-oriented guy, which I would imagine why those are both down here in the middle of the list. Some of this tier 4 that we're looking at here, though, I don't know if I agree with this list.
I would go with Carson.
Honestly, I would take
Carson.
Look at Josh Jacobs, 23. That's
Josh Jacobs should definitely be higher than that.
So the problem with Josh Jacobs and why he is low, and like I said, this was about a month ago before training camp stuff came out, but he is splitting time with Kenyon Drake in Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. So it's sounding like a split backfield. I am completely out on split backfields. We'll get to. I'm surprised we haven't seen Kareem Hunt on here unless I'm missing it because he honestly should maybe be up here, if not the next tier. But kind of the same. Yeah, probably the same reason why I just hate him, and we'll kind of get down to him is I just hate that shared backfield. I want that one solid guy. I'd be much happier with Chris Carson. The only downside with Chris Carson is the injuries. He gets injured for about 5 weeks every single year. But if you're willing to overlook that and kind of play around with it and put someone else in that spot and save Carson for the championship, I think that's a good solid pick here. Josh, what's the top 2 running backs you would have to pick out of this tier 4 list here?
Out of this group, I think David Montgomery is pretty underrated. He had a solid rookie campaign. And then he had a solid year 2 as well. The only reason that he's kind of down there is, again, kind of that same reason you're just stating is that split backfield. Tariq Cohen, he's good, but he's very much got put into a more situational role, kind of the same way. What's his nuts for the Vikings? That their returner, God, I can't think of his name.
Patterson.
Patterson, yeah, same way. He's just a very one-dimensional guy. He doesn't do a lot of extra stuff. He doesn't really block. He doesn't do any of that. So I think David Montgomery is going to see a lot more action in this upcoming offense, especially if Justin Fields pans out the way that we see. If it's still the Red Riders team, I don't think he's going to do as well as he would with Justin Fields personally. So that's going to be an evolving thing throughout the season. But I think right off the bat, I put him higher. Same thing with Deandre Swift. I really like the Jared Goff in Detroit. I think a lot of running backs have done well under Jared Goff. Henderson had a great last year, even though he was splitting 3 ways on that stupid Rams offense.
Yep.
He still had a great year. I had him on my team. I started him half the weeks. So I think running backs do very well under Goff. So I have pretty high hopes for Swift, and he had a pretty good rookie campaign, just minus that one drop. But those two are probably my 2 standouts on this list that we're looking at here.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cole, what are your probably 2 takers in this? Let's say Carson's off the board, CEH is also off the board. What are your 2 next probably picks? You got to pick back-to-back running backs here in this tier 4. Who are you going with?
I mean, I'd say Swift for one.
Swift as well.
I agree with Josh on that. Otherwise,
and I believe Detroit has one of the top 3 offensive lines from last year, and they're all the same starters this year as well. Again, if I remember correctly, so I definitely am pretty high on Swift as well.
I can't trust Mike Davis. I don't feel like.
Why not, Cole? You know, he had a pretty good season. We were both fighting over him last year when he took over for the Panthers. I believe it was you and me, Cole, right?
I had him, yeah. But he's in Atlanta now. Atlanta's just been crap these last few years, you know?
Yeah.
And every single, like Todd Gurley with Atlanta, he was terrible last year. I just don't see a running back really working into that fold very well, into that whole community. So I guess I'd take DeAndre Swift, and God, I like Josh Jacobs. I didn't know he was I didn't know he had a split backfield with Kenyon Drake though, because Kenyon Drake's good as well. So that's going to be interesting.
Yep.
I don't know if I can trust Henderson very well.
What about Dobbins?
I kind of want to see what Myles Gaskin does this year for Miami, honestly.
With Tua?
Yeah, with Tua, because Tua was not doing bad at all with his games that he was playing. I mean, although Fitzpatrick was still doing better, but that's because Tua was a rookie, and now he has a lot more time under his belt, and Gaskin's completely healthy. I think Gaskin will make a big impact, so I'd say Swift and Gaskin.
Yeah, I definitely like kind of the potential in Miami, so I don't think that's a bad call either. I, on the other hand, am kind of feeling Mike Davis. I know that there's kind of some concerns about he was kind of like he was getting the Christian McCaffrey workload, you know, and then all of a sudden 3-4 games he was kind of slowing down, and he was kind of just getting tired, and it didn't look like he could kind of work that hard anymore and play that, you know, that deep role. But there's no one behind him in that backfield. And I know that, you know, Matt Ryan's just going to toss the ball down to Ridley. They don't have Julio Jones this year as well, which is kind of a downside, which may bring the ball more towards Mike Davis. It'll be kind of interesting to see how they utilize him. Just a couple of different things there as well. Justin, last one from you from this tier, and we'll go to the next one and see who we got in the trash tiers coming up here. 2 of your top picks from this tier. Who are you thinking? Let's throw out CEH and Chris Carson again. Who are your top 2 guys?
Miles Sanders and Josh Jacobs.
All right. What do you think about Sanders?
I think he's a real big sleeper for this year. I think that he's destined to do great things. I didn't really keep many tabs on him last year, but like his rating and his improvement over last season, he showed a lot of tremendous improvement.
Yeah, I had him as my running back 2 for most of the season. He got a touchdown every 1 and 2 weeks about, and he put up 80 rushing yards here and there. There's a couple of weeks where he maybe had 7 points, but he'd give me double-digit points, which is pretty much what the floor is for a running back too, on your starting roster. So, I don't think Sanders is terrible. I'm totally out on the Philadelphia offense at this point, though. So that's why I don't really like that one. Why are you high on Josh Jacobs versus someone like Mike Davis, who is the sole running back in that offense?
Because I saw the numbers that Josh Jacobs put up with Josh's team last year.
Yep.
He was a solid guy.
Yeah.
But that split backfield with Kenyon Drake is going to be a problem because Kenyon Drake was very decently. He was good.
Yeah. Was there any injuries with Josh Jacobs last year on your team, Josh, you remember? No?
No, he had a couple weeks at the beginning in the middle where he was just kind of not doing much for me. But then end of the season, he was just solid, like 15, 20 points a game.
Cool. Yeah, I couldn't remember if he had some injury concerns or not because I didn't pay attention
giving
to him.
Him that workload.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if he's splitting it, that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to kind of have to see how that transpires throughout the season here. Moving to this tier 5 here. This is where we got Kareem Hunt in here. I honestly think, maybe he could sneak up to the top of this tier, maybe at the end of the last one. I, again, hate the Chubb thing, but they run two running back sets most of the time in Cleveland. Hunt is better when Nick Chubb is on the field. And even when Nick Chubb isn't on the field, they'll still pound on the ball and he'll just do just fine. Josh, do you think if, let's say Mike Davis was not in Atlanta and let's just put Kareem Hunt there, for example, do you think we could see him in maybe a tier 2 or 3 instead of this 4 or 5 range?
He'd be tier 2 easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy. It's just because he's splitting it with Chubb, so that Chubb's going to get the main brunt of the workload.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. Justin, let's start with you here. Tier 5. Who are your two kind of go-tos here in this in this tier 5 here for running backs here?
See, it's kind of tough because I want to pick Kareem Hunt, but he's going to be behind Nick Chubb.
Yep.
And I also want to pick Melvin Gordon, but I picked him up last year, and he didn't really do anything for me. Yeah. He didn't really get as many touches as he did when he was with San Diego. I am very high on Damien Harris in New England. He did look really solid last season in the touches he did get. And my dad was always telling me, like, he's going to be a star in New England, like he's the future of running backs. Mm-hmm. But I think I'd have to go with Ronald Jones.
Ronald Jones?
I had him last year, too, and he was reliable. He got me touchdowns, he got me yards, everything. And, Brady, he likes to hand it off these days.
Yeah.
Especially down by the goal line.
Yeah. No, and that's good, too. I was just going to say, Javonte Williams, I don't know if you know, Justin, is the rookie running back in Denver as well, behind Melvin Gordon. I won't even say behind right now. They're kind of neck and neck, and it's kind of looking like Javonte Williams may take a leap as the season progresses here. Once you get to this tier of kind of 4 or 5 range, you're either looking for someone you can plug in on a flex, or someone you're going to stash in your bench and hope for some upside throughout the year, maybe some injuries. I know Nick Chubb was out for a couple of weeks, which is why Kareem Hunt is kind of still a solid option. You could still use him as a flex, and if Nick Chubb is out, he's a solid running back 1, kind of like what we discussed earlier as well. So with that, Josh, who from this list here you kind of eyeing down?
So obviously you got to go with the Ronald Jones. He's got the single backfield. That offense is a little flooded with talent, so that's why I think he's down here. It's just
there's a lot of cooks in that kitchen, bro.
Yeah, I just don't think he's going to see a lot of stuff. But I'm going to butcher this name, but Travis Etienne, I think is how you pronounce it.
No clue.
Is that off?
Etienne?
I think it's Etienne.
Yeah, you're right. That's how it is.
Not sure, but I think he's going to be solid. I know he's splitting time with James Robinson. James Robinson is also a beast.
Yep.
But I think Travis, as far as just on paper, I think he's shaping up to be a lot better than James Robinson. I I don't think James Robinson is quite like a workhorse. I think he's just more of like your third down back, realistically. So if the season progresses and he starts picking up more of that starting role, I think it's gonna turn into a lot of good things. But I foresee James Robinson kind of shining for the first couple 3 games, and then I think he's gonna turn it on.
Yeah, we'll kind of see how that progresses throughout the season, and even preseason. You know, I did draft Travis Etienne in my league, or I should say in our league, and I'm kind of thinking about putting him on my flex spot week 1. I am kind of concerned about James Robinson as well. I think that he is going to fade throughout the season. So I think you don't think so, Cole?
No, that's why I picked up James Robinson, because I mean, even though Travis Etienne is looking great, he is still a rookie, and James Robinson has put up the numbers in previous years. He's shown that he is a reliable back, and he doesn't get hurt often. So I don't know. That's why I picked up James Robinson, because I'm taking that 50-50 chance about it, because I don't know if Etienne's going to do it or not.
Yeah,
So,
you know, and if you're either looking for that flex play or that bench play, kind of like we're saying too, and that's definitely both of those guys are real close. You got to watch week 1, see what the reports are, whether you can play them as a true flex or not. The other thing too is I believe it's a new coach. They obviously have Trevor Lawrence as the quarterback, who was also Travis Etienne's. I can't even say it. I'm just gonna have Cole. I'm just gonna like copy Cole's little audio of it. There you go, and just replay it every time. But I believe they were on the same team as well in college, and they were both rookies. And they, I'm pretty sure they traded up in the draft. I don't remember if he was a first round pick too, because Jacksonville had 2 first round picks, I believe, in the draft. So and they grabbed them both. So I think that has some, you know, the coaching staff is liking what they see. You know, I think that. He's going to definitely get the majority of the touches going forward throughout the season here. Cole, how about for you? 2 running backs here. We didn't do you already, did we?
No. I'd take Kareem Hunt and Raheem Mostert, because Kareem Hunt, he may be splitting time with Chubb, but he's a complete and utter passing back. Chubb can't catch for shit. So Kareem Hunt's still he's not putting up as many points as Chubb is necessarily, just because of the touchdowns that Chubb's getting, but Kareem Hunt is basically matching him in yards. And he's still putting up points, especially if Chubb were to go down like he did last year. Kareem Hunt's immediate, put him in right away, play him. And Raheem Mostert as well. He was hurt a lot last year, but the previous year before that, he was one of the top 15 running backs. He was putting up numbers as well. He's also super small and can get through lines very easily. I think if Mostert can stay healthy this year, he has a very, very big upside. A lot more than, I'd say, Damien Harris or Melvin Gordon. At least over those 2. I don't know about Edmonds, but at least over those 2.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know exactly what I feel about Edmonds. I'm kind of just staying away from him in all my drafts this year. But as far as Damien Harris goes, I'm still on the fence about him in my next draft. I don't know what I'm going to do if he comes on the board. If he drops far enough down, you know, with all the players that are left, I'll definitely steal him up. But with Cam Newton starting right now, especially, I just don't think he's going to hand the ball out that much in New England. I think, you know, he's going to take the ball himself. I mean, he ran for at least probably double-digit touchdowns Cam Newton did himself last year, if not pretty close to it.
It's like all the scores he got.
Pretty much. I mean, honestly. So I'm just kind of 50-50 on Damien Harris. If I can get him for a value, I'll give it a shot, because I don't believe there's many people left in that backfield, because I got rid of Rex Burkhead as well, I remember. But I'm kind of not feeling that so much. But Raheem Mostert is kind of sounding like he might fade away. We look down here at this next tier here, and we see the rookie Trey Sermon with a couple other rookies down here too. Josh, what do you be thinking about the San Francisco backfield with Trey Sermon kind of emerging this preseason?
I don't really like San Francisco at all. I haven't liked them for a couple years now.
I've never liked them.
I'm out on San Francisco, honestly. I don't like anything about them this year. If Trey Lance starts putting up numbers, I may reevaluate it. But until something changes in that San Francisco offense, I'm kind of not touching anybody from San Francisco.
Sure. Yeah, no, definitely. And again, this is tier 6, so we're just going down. This has got to be your bench spots now. You can take a chance with that James Robinson, like we had mentioned before. See if they can fit into a flex spot. Cole, any player in this next tier 6 kind of stand out to you at all?
Zach Moss, maybe.
Zach Moss.
What's going on with David Johnson?
Well, David Johnson has just been decreasing constantly each year.
What's that little arrow?
He's old.
Yeah, spot keeps falling. Yeah, I agree there too. He's just old. Houston's offense, I mean, who do they have? They have
Watson.
No. Who's the quarterback this year? I forget what his name is.
Watson.
Watson.
Oh yeah, it should be. No, you're right. It should be Watson. We'll see what happens with that. But I'm kind of out on that as well. Out on that as well. I feel like Gus Edwards isn't going to see much time behind Dobbins. They might split a little bit. Is kind of the rumors. Here's Michael Carter, a rookie running back as well this year. We got 2 rookie starters. It is the Jets. We got 2 starters that are rookies this year on the Jets. We got Zach Wilson, who people forget he's the 2nd overall pick in the draft this year, which we could probably hammer that out in quarterback talk later on here. But I think, maybe if you're just in this range and you're like, hey, let's take a shot, honestly, I think there's some wide receivers that are better when you get down here in some drafts. But if you got 2 running backs, you need a third kind of just in case, that you can plug and play at that flex spot for bye weeks. Taking a chance on someone like Michael Carter, Trey Sermon, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Fournette. Justin, what do you kind of think about Fournette and Ronald Jones? Are they still splitting that backfield? Would you take Fournette over some of these other players? What do you kind of think about that there?
I think they're going to evenly split it. They were doing that throughout the season, even in the Super Bowl. I think Fournette got a touchdown. Yeah, he did get a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on Fournette. You have to remember, he started out in Jacksonville, and that's one of those franchises where you start in there, you're destined to fail. But he kind of turned it around with Tampa Bay, and now he's kind of getting back into his groove of things and what people thought he was going to do right as he got drafted. So I would not sleep on Fournette. He'd be a reliable pick to take.
Fournette was really good in Jacksonville. Remember that? When he got to Tampa Bay, that's when he declined. He was much better in Jacksonville than he was.
They thought he was done.
Yep.
Which makes no sense because he was still putting up numbers in Jacksonville. He was like their best player. And they just got rid of him.
Especially when they went to the championship game, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think it was a playoff. I don't think it was a championship. I think it was one of the later round playoff games, not championship.
Yeah, the AFC championship.
Yeah, that's
it
what
was a championship.
Yeah, the Patriots stomped on their heads.
No, they didn't. The Patriots almost lost.
They won, so they stomped on their heads.
Oh, okay. Is that how it works?
Hey, stomped on the heads.
As they were unconscious.
They must have forgot to bring your towel.
Their towel.
Josh, you're a towel.
No, you're a towel.
Where was that?
I was like, what? How do you not know what that's from, bro? That's a hot
You're a towel.
No, you're a towel.
No,
Not
you're
a towel.
a towel.
You're
I'm
a
not a
towel.
towel. You're a towel.
Josh, let's start with you here. So going into the draft, I kind of mentioned this when we started here, as we wrap things up here. Most leagues, 2 running back league. By what round do you want both of your running backs solidified within your team going into a draft?
It kind of depends on how you draft, but round 4, you should have either 2 running backs and 2 receivers, or you should go heavy on running backs and get some of those mid-round receivers. Personally, I think you should go 2 backs, 2 receivers, unless you snag like a Devontae Adams or like a Tyreek Hill in that first round.
Yep.
Then at that point, you have to go running back heavy the next 2 rounds.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with the garbage. Because people don't realize, but running backs are like the number 1 thing to go in fantasy. So if you wait till round 3 to look at, like if you draft Tyreek Hill and then go Stephon Diggs heavy right away, once you get to that round 3, you're looking at those like tier 4 guys as starting running backs. So it's like, if you scroll up to tier 4 once for me.
Yep.
I mean, you're looking at, your starting guy being Darrell Henderson. That's
right.
Garbage for your guy you're supposed to get 20 points on a week. I don't think he's going to get you that. He might get you 10, and 20 occasionally, but you need a guy like Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook who's going to put up multiple 20-point games throughout the season. Same thing with a lot of those tier 2 and 1 guys.
Yeah. No, definitely. I agree with that as well. Yep. It all depends on, kind of the return for your spot pick. And that's exactly for sure. Exactly. Cole, what do you kind of think? When do you want to have your 2 running backs solidified within your team?
I mean, this year I kind of went round 3 by having both of my running backs, and I did something different. And because I've never drafted one of the top tight ends before, so I wanted to do that, and I got Waller this year because he acts as a straight up wide receiver himself, and he put up the most points behind Travis Kelce last year, and he was above most of the wide receivers in points too.
Yep.
So I went running back heavy, and I'm a little bit light on the wide receivers for me, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what I ended up doing as well. If I don't have my solid 2 starting running backs by round 3, I'm shaking my boots straight up, because after that tier 3 range, there just is not a whole lot, unless you want to start Chris Carson or CH as that running back 1 all season. And we kind of talked about the advantages and disadvantages of all those guys already. You can make that pick for yourself at that point. Justin, final kind of thoughts here. Who are your 2 kind of when do you want your 2 solid running backs in drafts, by what round? And then kind of some last thoughts here before we close it off.
So obviously go with a running back right away. Secondly, in the second round, I'd go with a wide receiver, and then I would go for another running back. That's just my strategy.
Sure.
It's always worked for me, and I suggest it because you don't want to miss out on the wide receivers too quickly too.
Yep. No, that's for sure. There is a big drop-off for wide receivers as well, which we'll probably have to cover either next episode, or we might do the quarterback one. We'll have to figure that one out here. Any final thoughts or anything else, guys, before we close off here?
No, it should be it. Just keep up with us. I mean, we're going to be doing lots of stuff like this, kind of getting you fantasy prepped. I know we have what do we have? 2 weeks left till the season. Holy crap! It's kind of weird about that 4th preseason game. Usually, it's like it's just like a Snoresville to get to the season. But now, and then once we're going 17 games, holy buckets!
Yep.
It'll be nuts.
Yes, it'll definitely be nuts. So that'll be it for this one. Let us know in the comments, what running back are you going to avoid this year in drafts going forward? And make sure to hit the follow button as well. Check out our whole channel on Instagram, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.